those things. Okay, we're going to skip ahead to a medrash that I've read and written about many times. So I'm not going to go through it in great detail now, but I want to bring out a couple of points that I might not have mentioned in the past, or certainly not emphasized enough. This is also from Parsha Beis, and this is from letter Zion, which is 7. And it's a famous medrash about going up like a wall. I wrote a whole sefer called "Go Up Like a Wall," in which I argued based on Chazal. I don't have opinions. It's all sourced from Chazal that we are obligated to make Aliyah as a group and mass today because we have the opportunity to do so. We have the right to do so. Therefore, we are obligated. We have a mitzvah to do so. Of course, people challenge me from the one source about the 3 oaths that we're not allowed to go up like a wall. Of course, they are cherry picking the source or taking it wildly out of context. And if they actually look at the actual source and see what Chazal had to say and the commentaries had to say about it, they will see that the source actually is on my side and not on their side, that we should be, in fact, going up like a wall. So I'll read this to you now. Rabbi Chelbo Omer, Rabbi Chelbo says, Arba Shavuos Yesh Kan. So this version says it's actually 4 oaths. Hishpia Yisrael Shalo Yimrdu Al Ha-Malchios. Hashem made Israel swear. This is, of course, it's never actually happened. The Jewish people never got together and took an oath. But in a spiritual sense, it's saying that this is an expression of Hashem's will, that we will not rebel against the kingdoms, meaning that we have to be loyal citizens, right? For the temporary amount of time that we have to live in Gullus, we should be loyal to the countries. And by and large, the Jewish people have been loyal to their host countries. They've been good citizens. They built up the countries in which they lived. They were good subjects. Vishalo yichuku esakates. They shouldn't force the end. Rashi explains that this means they shouldn't daven too much for Moshiach to come, which is counterintuitive. It goes against what we're told today. We should spend all day davening for Moshiach to come. Not true. We should daven a little bit for Moshiach to come. We certainly want him to come. But don't try to force the issue by pouring on the tefillos. Understand, things have to come in their proper time. In fact, the very last medrash in Shir Hashir, we're not going to do this today, actually talks about this also. I'll just paraphrase it. It says that just like a grape or some other fruit, if you pick it too early, it's bitter. It's not healthy. It doesn't taste good. It isn't good for you. Similarly, the redemption, if you try to make it come too early when it hasn't yet ripened, it comes with great difficulties and troubles. If you try to force the issue, it doesn't come right. Of course, if we do tshuva, then we can expedite the ripening process. But we're talking about when things are following the normal course and it's going to come at its proper time without us doing tshuva, or at least not us doing tshuva early. So then we can't force the issue. If we try to force the issue, either through fighting or through davening too much, it's only going to cause problems. That's what it says over here. On the third oath is that we should not reveal the secrets of the Torah to the nations of the world. Now, we are obligated to teach the nations of the world about the 7 laws of Noah, which is actually encompasses a very large portion of the Torah. For example, the laws of theft is not just don't steal. You have to outline to them proper business practices, which encompasses a great deal of Jewish law. But here's the big one. We should not go up like a wall from the exile. So I want to read to you what the Matnos Kihuna says, quoting Rashi. The Yad Chazaka with force. Kulam Yachad, all of them together. That's a definition of going up like a wall, which we're not supposed to do, is going up all together with force. Meaning we are saying, you know what? We're tired of being subjects in exile. We're going to raise an army in a foreign country, fight our way out of that country, and conquer the land of Israel against everybody's will. That we're not allowed to do. Now, Shevet Ephraim did that when the Jews were enslaved in Egypt. They fought their way out. They actually made it to Israel, but they were massacred. Those were the dry bones that Yechezkel eventually brought back to life. They fell because they miscalculated the end of the exile. They said, okay, it should be ending now, therefore we're going to fight our way up, but it was too early. That's why they were slaughtered. So we're not allowed to do that. But if you are allowed to come to Israel, nobody's stopping you today. The early Zionists, okay, they fought a war. It has nothing to do with you and me. I didn't fight my way out of the exile. Nobody listening to this fought their way out of the exile or had to fight their way out of the exile. Whatever the Zionists did, they did. We have nothing to do with them. But we have every right to make Aliyah today, and therefore we have a mitzvah. We're not going up by force. We're not forcing our way out. We're not forcing our way in. So there's no problem with it. None whatsoever. We're not violating any oath. Now listen to what the Eitz Yosef says on this. V'shelo yalu choma. They should not go up like a wall. Lashon zehu mi pasuk ke'anshe mechama yalu choma. So this language of going up like a wall comes from Yoel, Parak Beis Pasuk Zion, chapter 2, verse 7. Like men of war, they go up like a wall. So you see from there this military aspect to it. If you're not going up with arms and fighting your way out of Gullus, you're not violating any oath. The hakavana, the meaning here is shelo yalu kulam biyad chazaka. The Jews should not all go up with force. The ratzalomar, meaning to say, vadai the rishus kol echad Yisrael lalos Yisrael. Certainly, there is permission, there is the right for every Jewish person to make Aliyah, to go to the land of Israel. Of course, you have the right to go to the land of Israel. As an individual, you want to go up, you have every right to do so. But they should not go up together with force, meaning raising an army, fighting your way out of the Gullus as a group. That you're not allowed to do. But to go up as individuals, of course you have the right to do that. And if you have the opportunity, you have a mitzvah. Far be it from us to do this, meaning to fight our way out. Until Hashem pours down a spirit of kindness from up above, Yishalach Yeshua Aydei Mashiach, when he sends us a salvation through Moshiach. That's when we're able, if there's any Jews still left in Golos at the time, to fight our way out. I've already proven to you in last week's year and in many of my articles that we're not supposed to wait for Moshiach to come, and the commentaries say it on this very medrash also, that Moshiach picks up the stragglers, the Jews who maybe are too old to make Aliyah, they need extra help, maybe they don't know that they're Jewish. Right, you have a woman who was forcibly taken by a Muslim, and she couldn't reveal her identity to her children, and her children are Jewish, and they don't know, so they're stuck in Golos. After Mashiach comes, he comes and picks them up. He picks up the fools that stay there because they think that they're sworn that they're staying in Golos, that they have some oath hanging over them. Those are the people he picks up. Okay, Ubahar Sham and Melech Yoshe Maram. The Eitziel concludes with permission from Hashem. That's when Mashiach takes him up en masse, and if necessary, by force. Okay? But until then, everybody has the right to make Aliyah. We just can't raise an army in a foreign land and fight our way out of the foreign land and fight our way into Israel. That we're not allowed to do, and we did not have to do that. So no oaths were violated. Therefore, this one source that the whole religion of all these people hinges on does not support them, actually supports me. Somebody sent me an angry email last week following my shir. He's not on my email list, so it must have been going around. And he accused me of being he told me that I should read 2 Sfarim. He said they quote all the Torah sources. I said, did they quote the Torah sources that were in Go Up Like a Wall, and the ones I mentioned last week from the Abu Dar, who was a Rishon, and the Balei Tosfos, who said that, of course, we have a mitzvah to go up to make Aliyah, and the Jews make Aliyah before Mashiach comes. Did he quote those sources? He said, I said, read my sefer. He said, you must be some hardened Zionist. I'm not going to read heresy. Hardened Zionist. It's a joke. Me, of all people, calling a hardened Zionist, obviously is not familiar with anything that I've been saying and writing. And to call my work heresy, he didn't even look at it. I said, I responded in my final email to which he didn't answer me. Are you saying that the Rishonim, the Balei Tosfos, and the Anshe Knesset Hagadola are also heretics and hardened Zionists? Because I'm simply quoting them. You have to contend with these sources. I'm not taking anything out of context. I'm not mistranslating anything. I'm not cherry picking, right? If you think I'm wrong about how I'm reading the sources or I'm understanding them, you're welcome to try to convince me of that. And I'm open-minded, okay? But to say that you're quoting all the sources when your doctor is quoting one is intellectual dishonesty, and it's flat out wrong. Okay, so here's the one place we're going to skip. We're going to go towards the end of Shir HaShirim, the Medrash of Shir HaShirim. And this is from the last chapter, Parsha Ches, chapter 8. And this is letter Gimel. Okay, also talking about the redemption. This one talking about Vayesheni, which I wrote about extensively, and Go Up Like a Wall. So, Ma Naseh La'achosenu. What can we do for our sister? What will we do for our sister? Again, it's quoting a pasuk. So the darshan as follows. Ma Naseh B'yom Shenigzar. What can we do on the day when the king of Persia, Koresh, made a decree as follows: the Avar Paras Avar, whoever crossed the Euphrates River to go to Israel, to cross. Because what had happened? Koresh said, the Jews in my kingdom, my empire, I'm authorizing them, I'm allowing and encouraging them to go to the land of Israel and rebuild the Beis HaMikdash. And it will be financed, right, by the government. It's an all-expense paid trip. I'm allowing them to go. Okay? He woke up one day, right? His advisors who hated the Jews did not want them to come and build back the Beis HaMikdash. In fact, one of them was the son of Haman. I wrote about this and Go Up Like a Wall as well, right? So they convinced Achashverosh later on to stop the building completely. But even before that happened, they convinced Koresh to stop the flow of Aliyah. So he said as follows: the Avar Paras Avar, whoever has already crossed the Euphrates is crossed, and he can keep on going to Israel. The lo avar, lo yavar. Whoever has not yet crossed the Euphrates shall not pass. Stopping the flow right there. No more immigrants. No one else can leave to Israel. And then the Medrash says, Im chomahi, if it's a wall, Elu Yisrael helu choma mi Bavel, if the Jewish people went up like a wall from Bavel, lo charav Beis Hamikdash ba'ishaita pam shenis. The Beis Hamikdash at that time, the second Beis Hamikdash would not have been destroyed a second time. Why was the second Beis Hamikdash destroyed? So there were spiritual reasons because of Sinas Chinam. That's the popular one that everybody knows, and of course it's true. But had they gone up like a wall, this is not me, Zionism or heresy or cherry picking or whatever. I'm reading what Chazal says. Had the Jewish people gone up like a wall, loaded words over here, meaning they're not violating any oath. Had they gone up like a wall from Bavel, the Beis Hamikdash would not have been destroyed. They should have gone up like a wall. They had a mitzvah to go up like a wall. Why? Because the king allowed them to do so. They were allowed to go. That was a sign from heaven that Hashem wanted them to go. If Hashem did not want them to go, they would not have been allowed to go. Throughout most of Jewish history, the Jews were not able to go to Israel. They were not allowed to go to Israel. Maybe it's just a slight trickle, but they couldn't go. They couldn't establish or build anything, right? If the king, the most powerful ruler or rulers of the world, allow you to go and allow you to build, then you are obligated to do so. The oath is no longer in effect. And that's why Chazal Dafka used that term. Had they gone up like a wall, okay? The same people who told you about the oaths told you when the king says you can go, and the Beis Hamikdash would not have been destroyed. Why do we have so many problems today? Largely because the Jews have not gone up like a wall. Story. Rabbi Ze'era nafikle l'shuka l'mizban mikoma. Rabbi Ze'era went to the market, to the shuk, to buy something. Amar lo l'dain. He said to the merchant, who Takil, who was weighing whatever he was buying, Takil yeos, measure it, count it well. Don't cheat me, count it very well. But Amar le, the merchant said to him, Lesat azil lan menacha, won't you please get out of here? He said to Rav Zera, Bavlaya, Babylonian, the Charvan of Hasa, whose fathers caused the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. Rabbi Ze'era came from Bavel, eventually made Aliyah. Okay, he was in fact the one who had an argument with his Rebbe. His Rebbe didn't want him to go, and he went anyway. So he was a big Zionist, in a manner of speaking. And he got to Israel, and they scorned the Babylonians. And they said, "Your forefathers are responsible for the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash." Ba'ahi ansa. Amar Rabbi Ze'era. So at that time, Rabbi Ze'era was shocked. He said, "Less Hasi Kav Hasan Da'dain, or my father is any different than his fathers? Why are you picking on my fathers for? How are our fathers different?" All the Beis Vad, he went to the Beis Vad, to the meeting place of the rabbis. V'shama kale de Rabbi Shela, and he heard the voice of Rabbi Shela. Yasif Darish, who was sitting and darshaning, sitting and expounding. Im chomahi, if it's a wall, quoting from Shir Hashirim. Ilu al Yisrael chomam and agola, the Jews gone up like a wall from the exile. Lo charav Beis Hamikdash pam shniya, the Beis Hamikdash would not have been destroyed a second time. Amar, Rabbi Ze'era said when he heard this, Yafa limdeni ama aretz. This regular person, this Amma Aretz, this merchant from the Shuk, taught me well. He accepted the criticism. He accepted the Musar. In fact, my fathers are responsible for the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash because they did not go up like a wall. I would like all of these people who claim that we are bound by some oath not to make Aliyah to explain to me what I am reading wrong about this source. They have to contend with this. They have to contend with this. Skip a little further, still in the same letter. Okay. Rabbi Shmuel Amar Shama Lev Ragas. Rabbi Shmuel says that there in the Gullus, there is a heart of terror based on the pasuk. V'nasan Hashem l'chal Sham Lev Ragas. This is part of the klalos, the tochacha that we get, the curse for not keeping the Torah. When we get exiled, there we will be in terror. The Jews in exile are always in terror. They don't want to admit it to themselves, but they're in terror right now. The Jews in America are living in terror. The Jews of Europe are living in terror. If they'll throw it back in your face and say that you're living in terror in Israel too, not quite the same. Not quite the same. Okay, because at least I'm home. I'm living in my home. I'm fighting for my home. You're living in a foreign home, surrounded by Goyim, under the rulership of Goyim. You have no possibility of ever ruling over those lands because they're not your lands. This is our land, and we are part of the redemption process here. We have to clean out the chametz from our land. But the terror that we have here shouldn't be a real terror. We understand we're part of the redemption process, and we count on Hashem to be with us. What are you still doing in Golas? So listen to this. Kivan sha'alu roges nitan v'ala iman. Sorry, Rabbi Shmuel says, Kivan sha'alu nisrapu. The first opinion, that of Rabbi Yochanan, that I skipped, says that when they went up from the Golas, the terror came up with them, which is true. There are still Golas Jews in Israel today. Rabbi Shmuel says, no, when they went up, they were healed from this. Now listen to this. Reish Lakish, Karavachami lahon mitzamsin bishuka. Reish Lakish, who lived in Bavel, when he saw the Jews, or he actually lived in Israel, as a matter of fact, when he saw the Jews gathered in the shuk, okay, gathered together in the market, Hava Amar Lahon, he would say to them, Badru gar mechen, okay, scatter yourselves. Why are you all gathered together in groups? Okay, he was talking to the Babylonians who made Aliyah. Amar Lo, he said to them, Ba'alischem lo na'asisem choma. When you're making Aliyah, you didn't go up like a wall, right? We had the opportunity at the beginning of Bayesheni to go up like a wall en masse, but you didn't do it. You came in a trickle. The Khan, Basem Lasos Choma, but here in the market, suddenly you gather together in large numbers. Suddenly you're able to gather together and organize yourselves in the market for conferences, for sporting events, for theaters. The Jews come in large numbers. They come in droves. When it came time to make Aliyah, when you had the opportunity to come, you didn't come in droves. So scatter yourselves now. That's what he said to them scornfully. So you see, consistently, our greatest sages look down on the Babylonians. The ordinary people look down on the Babylonians. They blame them for what their ancestors did centuries ago. They didn't come when they had the opportunity centuries ago, and they still had this resentment towards them. They said the Beis HaMikdash would not have been destroyed if they came up like a wall. So tell me what oath we have today. What oath do we have today? Nobody has to come and fight their way out of the gullahs. Therefore, we are obligated to do so. I rest my case. All right.